we have a quorum, even though Dino Mandros and Dean Evans are not with us today. Are you, Sergeant, are you able to pull up the agenda?
From July?
September agenda, yes. That's it. Very good. So thank you very much. We may have a little bit of a technological challenge. We have a change in personnel a little bit, and I'm hearing that we might have some challenges with the technology in general, but DJ is present to walk us through that, so we should be fine. Bear with us. So the first item is calling to order. I hereby call the Traffic Commission meeting for September 12th to order, and we will start with the minutes of the previous meeting, the July 2023 meeting. Are there any comments regarding the minutes of the last meeting, the July meeting?
No comments. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve in a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. The next item is old business, considering the request of item 14-2023, considering the request of Chris Peterson to have a speed bump installed on the 400 block of College Avenue. Is Mr. Peterson here? So at the last meeting where we discussed it, there had been no further action at that moment. This agenda item would continue to the next meeting for review. And is there any further follow-up on this one?
No, I think that this just needs to be considered as we're moving forward, looking at neighborhood slow zones and those kind of things. It would be a project to be potentially considered for that, if it meets the eligibility requirements. So I'd recommend that we remove this from the agenda.
Okay, I agree with that. Should we remove it? Do we need to move to remove it?
Yeah, I guess I could make a motion to deny the request for a speed hump on the 400 block of College Avenue.
Been a motion to deny.
Second.
Is there any further comment? Any further comment from the public on this item? Please. And because this is a public meeting, as you come forward, state your name, the block in which you live, and press the button.
Is it on? There
Yes,
we
it
go.
is.
Gail Grove Scott, North Lime Street. I just have a question about speed bumps, since you were discussing them. If you have a speed bump on a street that the Traffic Commission has authorized, what happens when the street is repaved? Does it stay there? Is there any more discussion about that?
In general, yeah, they would replace them in place if they're, have already been approved, and
Okay.
but that's the general process.
Thank you very much. Any further comments or questions? So there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. So this item will be removed from future agenda items. The next item is considering the request from Rick Hare to evaluate issues of trucks traveling down East Marion Street causing damage to his home. There was a series of a bit of discussion at the last meeting about this, a variety of issues related. Is Mr. Hare present? Here. Please, would you like to come forward?
Yes, hi, it's Rick Herr, 200 block of East Marion Street. I've seen no changes. I know that the board was going to try to contact, I believe, some of the businesses that were utilizing the Cisco trucks. They've consistently, every week, come down Tuesday and Thursdays, and I've seen no changes with near misses. And I also know that I think we were going to look at removing the parking spaces that were being parked illegally close to the stop sign, and nothing has changed there as well. So it's business as usual.
So I can tell you, I spoke with Passenger, spoke with their ownership, and they subsequently spoke with Cisco. The agreement that they had reached is they would still allow the trucks, however, smaller trucks, not the full-size tractors and trailers. So you're telling me you still have 53-foot tractors and trailers coming down that roadway?
Yes, I have video if you want to see it.
We'll link up afterwards. If you could get that to me, that'd be great.
Okay,
Secondly, we did have parking spaces removed on Marion at the intersection. I believe Mr. Diffendahl had that taken care of. The parking spaces removed on Musser,
it'd be in Marion.
on Marion Street by the park.
Yeah, there's none removed. There's no signage or anything. It's park as usual.
Sergeant Gerace, the parking authority typically does not remove parking spaces. I'm not sure what we would need to do that, but we would be happy to do that.
Are these line spaces?
I would have to look.
They're not.
I think, is it just a matter of posting for
Signage.
parking signs?
Right, which is under the
I mean, yeah.
auspices of this group.
Yeah,
not the
so maybe
parking
there was
authority.
just lost
Yeah,
communication.
no
as
parking
far
here
as
to
the
corner
sign.
or whatever,
Okay.
yes. Okay,
So the last bullet item under, under this item was that Ms. McCormick made the motion to restrict 2 parking spaces on Marion at Lime and table further discussion regarding signage and truck restriction until discussion can be held with Passenger and Cisco, seconded by Mr. Mandros. So the fact that the conversations have taken place now will allow for making those removals of those 2 spaces. If I understand this,
Yeah,
Bullet
I thought we were restricting, yeah, we were gonna just get rid of that and then talk about other restrictions. But yeah, we'll make sure that those signs get posted as far as no parking.
if for any reason, and I know this sounds like it's stepping out of bounds a little bit, do you have any idea of how long it may take to?
Probably a week.
So if by the end of October, it hasn't taken place, reach back out to us,
Okay, who would I contact?
to Ms. McCormick, the city engineer.
And your info's in the packet or just,
You talking about for the signs?
Yes.
I can make that request to have the install.
So-
If the board agrees, follow up with me. If it doesn't, I can
Okay.
make direct contact with the sign shop.
okay.
That's
That'll be
easy.
fine.
And I'm not
Sergeant
perfect.
Gerace.
Listen, okay, that's it for me. Thank you.
Very good.
Well, there was truck restrictions to, I think, something about 14,000 square feet. Or weight counts.
The first page bullet point, we had spoken about that at the last meeting, whether we wanted to make gross vehicle weight restrictions or not. If I'm not mistaken, I think the intent was to look at the parking space removal, the conversations with Passenger and Cisco, and see what happened from that point.
Right.
So that's going to necessitate, if you could send me what you have, I will absolutely follow up. I literally spoke with them the day after the meeting, and I was told the problems were going to be rectified. They obviously haven't been.
Yeah, nothing has changed there, so I'll email them to you.
Please do, I appreciate it.
Okay. Good.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hare. So the follow-up, I guess, is that you'll send that information to Sergeant Gerace, and we will move forward to get the signage put up for those 2 spaces to be removed. Very good. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is item 33-2023, considering the request of Gail Scott and Stephen Hohenwarter, property owners in the area of East Madison and North Lime, seeking to restrict large truck traffic on the 200 block of East Madison Street and surrounding alleys. Ms. Scott?
Hi. Do you need a copy of our exhibit that I sent in advance? Do you need a printed copy, or did you get it?
It may be useful to have a printed copy, thank you.
Should be in your minute.
Oh, is it in this package?
Should be.
It's got. So I just wanted to give you my own summary of what we're asking this time, because we really want to kind of narrow our focus just on the truck restriction request and the signage. And so I guess one question I have is, Sergeant Gerace, did you go put eyes on this? That was one of the things that you wanted to do? Did
Yes,
you have
ma'am, I
any
did.
comments?
I did. I had sent Ms. McCormick, I did measure where 323 is. I'm working on it, sorry, bear with me. This alleyway right here. That, to me, that was narrow. That was extremely narrow. And that picture that you sent that's on the screen right now, that's a pretty accurate representation of what I observed when I was there in a
Yeah,
marked
and
Ford F-150.
That's the photo from July, from the
Yeah.
July exhibit.
Correct.
And what I like that you showed that, because you can see that wall on the left, that white wall.
Mhm.
That's the masonry wall, so that a car coming, what you're looking at is East Lemon, or East Madison, the 200 block. On your left, where that wall is the intersection with Alley 29.
Yes.
And so Sergeant Geraci, did you drive your truck or kind of look at that radius turn from Alley 29, making that left like that FedEx truck might have done?
Oh, I did.
And you have to do 3-point turn, right? Like it's
Well, in a Ford F-150, it's about an 8-point turn, but yeah.
an 8-point turn in a Ford
No, I'm
F-150.
teasing.
What class, in a Ford F-150, on my exhibit for today and last time, I have that graphic of the different truck classes and weights.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the Ford F-150. Do you know where it
You're
fits in there?
Class 2.
It's Class 2?
Class 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's useful to know.
Yeah.
So you're saying even a Class 2 truck is tight
It was tight.
for that, from Alley 29?
It was, and I have the tow mirrors on the side, so yeah, it was definitely tight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have any other feedback?
So Alley 29, which you're looking at right now, at the end where that hits Lemon Street, correct? That's a depressed curb that is there. I'm not even quite sure what the usefulness of that is. to be
It's not
honest.
really
I
relevant
can't
right now,
imagine
because
people-
that section of that alley, I get Alley 29 and Alley 28 mixed up a lot. I apologize. Because one is the alley that connects from Lemon, one is the alley that connects from East Walnut. But they're both 9 feet. That one's particularly narrow, but we were informed by Ms. McCormick last time that section of that alley is actually a common alley and not a public alley.
Correct.
So it's not really relevant in terms of signage. So our request is for signage to extend the existing truck restriction that's already on East Lemon, that your commission voted for in 2017, on East Lemon, the connector street to East Madison. We're asking you to extend the signage and the truck restrictions to the 200 block of East Madison and Alley 28. I sometimes say Alley 29, 28 and get them mixed up, but the alley that goes between East Walnut and Madison, the one where Sergeant Geraci said that his Ford had to do an 8-point turn to make that turn, right there. I apologize because I get the numbers mixed up, but on that alley, we'd like to have signs. You can see there's a sign there that says no parking on the right in the picture that the sergeant is showing right now from last month's exhibit. So there's already no parking. So that solution that you suggested for Mr. Herr for Marion Street, we already have that for that radius turn, and it still is very difficult for trucks to turn there. So we would just want to ask you to extend that truck restriction. We really didn't want to focus on any of the other discussion last time about crosswalks on Lime Street, signage on Lime Street. Some of that is administrative stuff the city can take care of, and that wasn't really our request right now.
Understood. Thank you very much. Cindy, is there any further discussion, response, or description of the challenge here?
Yeah, I don't think I have anything more to add to it. Yeah, just looking at what the signage is on Lemon Street, if we want to have a consistent sign.
Yeah, and the one on Lemon Street is less than 10,000 pounds. So
I would like to motion to approve that request. I just have one question before doing that. Is the way that we have the 10,000-pound restriction shown on, at the, near Lemon and Lime, is that standard to how we mark these across the city? I feel like I've seen some truck restrictions actually posted from the like the boom of a light, like mast. I'm just wondering if that would be more apparent, or is what we have here consistent with how we generally mark those?
Yeah, I'm not sure that it's obviously, difficult because it's past where you would probably enter Lemon Street to actually see. The issue is that it would need to be posted, it probably could be posted on the mast arm.
That'd be awesome, because it is hard to see it. I looked at the state suggestions around signage under state code, and basically it just says you should put it close to the entrance of the block where the restriction is. It doesn't say up, on the mast or on the side or whatever. So that's left up to municipalities from my understanding.
Perhaps we can evaluate that internally on where to best put it. So I'll make a motion to conditionally approve the request, and the condition being that city staff evaluate best places to put the additional signage on Lemon Street, but that also it be dedicated accordingly and marked on the public alley that has been requested by Ms. Scott. Is that in accordance with the request, Ms. Scott? I want to make sure I got all the components there.
So we think 3 signs are needed, one at the turn onto Madison, one further down Madison, and one on East Walnut. If your under engineering decision is that, where they put them, we don't have a request. Wherever you think is best to put them. We just think that you need to have 3 signs, because there's only 1 sign in the 200 block of East Lemon. Once you make the turn at the cemetery, there's not an additional sign.
Too late at that point.
So it seems like you need one there, need one on the street, and you definitely need one at East Walnut, because we do see delivery trucks turning from East Walnut on, and then they have trouble. They don't know they're going to have trouble making that next turn that the sergeant was saying he had trouble making. So, but absolutely, we leave it to your discretion about where to put them, but thank you.
Sure. I'll just clarify that my motion is to approve for those 3 locations being marked, and that the exact method and location of where we hang the sign be further evaluated by city staff.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion at the commission level? Any further comments or discussion from the public? Again, your name and the 100 block in which you live.
Hello, my name is Wanda Walls, and I live at 226 East Madison Street. Been there 20-plus years now. Again, requesting the same with the signage. And secondly, we just recently had East Lemon Street repaved. They worked on, beautiful job. East Lemon, thank you. However, the speed bump is missing. We had a temporary speed bump there, and it is not put back in place. And I'm also requesting another one when you turn onto East Madison Street. And the reason for that is early in the morning, people are coming home from third shift of work or whatever, and they come rushing in through, turning onto Alley 28 to park in their residence of the apartments. I think that would be a benefit for our neighborhood, because we have families that are growing with children as well, for safety.
The sergeant just showed a picture of that speed bump.
Right. The speed bump was located in the entryway of the cemetery, St. Mary's.
Are we aware, Cindy, of whether that speed bump is scheduled to be reinstalled anyway?
It probably is. I believe they were going to install it, with a different, I'm pretty sure I talked to Streets about replacing that, but obviously they've just repaved, and there's still work being done on Lemon, so that will be replaced.
Any further questions or comments?
No. That will do.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
I would just clarify that, yeah, we're not entertaining new locations at this point, but yeah, the one on Lemon Street would be replaced.
Okay. Any further questions or comments from the public? Hearing none with the motion as Douglas had described it, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you very, very much. There'll be confirmation about the location of the signs, either by where they get installed, or if any change takes place, we'll get back to you. Okay. The next item is item 35-2023, considering the request from Madison Warner, representing Liberty Place Unit Owners Association, to have stop signs installed at various intersections. Is Ms. Warner here? This was part of this revisiting of the West Liberty area? Is there any
Yeah.
further comment?
Yes, city staff did go out and collect traffic data at the intersection of Charlotte and Liberty, collected traffic volumes, pulled the crash data, and the traffic volumes there don't warrant the installation of an all-way stop, which was requested at that location. There was only one reportable crash in the last 5 years. And there aren't really any issues, there are no issues with sight distance, so city staff is recommending that this request be denied.
Is there any further comment by anyone else on the commission?
No.
Any further comments from the public? So you're requesting that it be denied. Do we need to have a motion to that effect?
Yeah.
You're making it?
Sure,
turning into
so
a
I
motion?
move to deny the request for 35-2023.
A motion on the table to deny the request?
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any further comment from the public? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion is denied. Thank you very much. Now we move into the new business action agenda. The first item is item 41-2023. Consider the request from Stacy Neff to make Hager Alley into a one-way street. Is Ms. Neff present?
Good afternoon. My name is Stacy Neff. I live on the 700 block of Columbia Avenue, and Hager Alley runs right behind our home. The problem that we have seen repeatedly with Hager Alley is it is a two-way alley. However, it does not support two cars going in opposite directions very safely. What happens frequently on the College Avenue end is a car will be exiting Hager Alley, another car will be pulling in from College Avenue, and the car pulling out of Hager Alley will not back up or yield, and then that car pulling in on College Avenue literally has to back out into traffic to reposition themselves, let that car out from Hager Alley, and then proceed through. It creates a very dangerous situation, especially during the school hours when there's a bus stop right there at Hager Alley and College Avenue where there's a number of children there. So when that situation presents itself, either car that needs to back up is in a precarious place because there's children there. And so what I would propose would be to make that Hager Alley one way entering in from College Avenue so that cars enter from College and then exit at Marietta. Marietta is a one-way, but it's easier to see coming into College Avenue. Pulling out of Hager Alley is a little tricky to see because there's usually a car parked on either corner, and you have to pull out a little bit to see. And again, the addition of the bus stop being there makes it a really tricky place and a little more precarious for drivers.
Thank you. Is there anything more that you'd like to add?
I don't think so. It would just be a real help to have that one way so that those cars don't, have to have a potential head-on collision there at College and Hager.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cindy, has there been an opportunity to take a look at this request?
No, we have not had the opportunity to look at this in any detail.
So are there any issues that we want to raise before it gets looked at so that as engineering takes a look at it, we can make sure that the concerns are from the Traffic Commission might be part of that investigation?
I think we just have to take a look at where Hager meets Marietta.
Yeah,
That could be an issue dumping out.
Yeah, depending yeah. I'm just thinking of cars
Curb
turning
issue.
out and maybe trying conflicts with parked cars, that kind of thing.
Any other considerations?
Yeah, it just would probably take some time. We would need to review it and then probably do some kind of notification to all the adjacent property owners to, give them the opportunity to also comment on it. So I'm not sure that we'd be able to do all that before the next commission meeting. So it may take 2 meetings or so till we can come to some kind of conclusion.
Okay. Are there any further comments from the public? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. Bill Hannigan from the 300 block of College Avenue. If I understand this request being made, I think I understand Hager meets Columbia College, and on the opposite end, that's where Bethany Presbyterian Church is.
There is a church, yes.
It's on Marietta Avenue, right, Marietta and Columbia.
I'm not sure Marietta is correct. Marietta is not, I don't feel that's the intersecting road. I thought West End, but maybe I'm just not familiar enough with it. I have experienced the situation, what I think of going on Hager and going east on Hager and running into a car that's turning off of College, and they don't look. The driver just, wheels in there and then is confronted by my Ford F-150, just 50 feet away from the intersection. So it's a very precarious intersection. Visibility is a question at all angles. And so to make this one way, if I think I'm, at the right location, I very much support that.
And in the direction that Ms. Neff has described, has
I think
suggested,
she's saying make it westbound.
eastbound.
You want to make it eastbound.
Honestly, either way would suit me fine, as long as it's one way.
I guess it also
I would
lends the
agree.
question is Hager, I think with the section you're talking about is between College and West End, so there's another block of that alley as well. And do we need to be considering whether that needs to change?
So that it just adds the additional consideration for the research and investigation.
Please, yes.
Tremendously.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
anytime you turn in that alley, it's always risky that a car's coming from the lots in the Medical Arts Building, the lots behind Bethany Presbyterian Church. I feel it's West End and College. It's too many entry points and too little space.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
So we have a recommendation. Can we turn that into a motion? Oh, I'm sorry. Adriana?
Adriana Atencio, East Ross Street. I used to live over on that side of town, and riding a bicycle in the bike lane, there have been many times when people have been backing out of Hager Alley into the bike lane or double parked in that section trying to get out of Hager Alley, et cetera. So making it a one-way where you turn right off of College in there might be helpful, and then making an additional right onto West End. I'm not usually for making two-way streets into one-way streets. However, to protect the sanctity of the bike lane, I think that would be a really good thing to do in this case.
Okay, thank you very much. Any further comments from the public?
I'll make a motion that city staff look at both blocks of Hager, that would be between Northwestern Avenue and Marietta Ave, in consideration for changing one or both of them to one-way directions, and then come back to the Traffic Commission next month with a recommendation.
Is a motion? A second?
I will second that motion.
Very good. There's a motion and a second. Is there further comment?
Mr. Campbell, so if that motion that I just made is to come back and actually ask for action. I'm wondering now, should this just be a recommendation that we table it and then information's brought back and then we make a motion on the request? How would you like to handle that?
I think it's better to table it and have the investigation so that a recommendation of a best way forward can be presented at the next meeting.
With that, I will make a motion to table, but with the same recommendation that city staff look into this issue and then report back with a recommendation.
I will agree and second the amendment motion.
Very good. The motion and a second. Any further comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. You'll be hearing at the next meeting what the recommendation is. The next action agenda item is item 42-2023, considering the request of Kevin Brandt to consider making West Grant a one-way between North Mary and Charlotte Street heading east. Mr. Brandt? Do we want to take a quick look at the map? Hold on, let me see.
Yeah, Grant is basically one way westbound for this section. So you'd be asking to
Extend.
change the direction of the one way.
To consider making Grant one-way between North Mary and Charlotte.
So you have Grant and Mary up on your screen right now.
In the notes, it says there's a blind spot that exists at the intersection when approaching North Mary from West Grant. He suggests a mirror be installed on the utility pole, left side of Mary, so drivers can see if the coast is clear to proceed.
I believe that was the original request, but we indicated we don't install mirrors, so the request was then changed to change the direction.
Okay. So as per our last policy, we were hoping that the individual requesting could be present so that there could be more of a discussion of what the specific challenges and needs are in the situations in place. With Mr. Brandt not being present, do we want to table this until the next time he might appear?
Yes.
Motion?
I'll
I can make a motion to table 42-2023 until the next meeting in hopes that Mr. Brandt will be in attendance.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? That motion carries to table the request. The next item is item 43-2023. Consider the request of Adriana Atencio on behalf of Diana Good to discuss safety concerns on the 800 block of West Walnut Street.
Just gonna let Diane go ahead and take it from here.
Welcome.
I'm Diane Goad. I live on the 800 block of West Walnut Street. We bought our house here in Lancaster in December of 2000. I have two concerns. One is the speed and safety and the noise of the traffic on West Walnut Street. I understand that radar cannot be used in the city, it can only be used by state police, but the traffic speed between the block of the light at College Avenue and West End Avenue, these cars are approaching 50 and 60 miles an hour, all times of day and night, so the noise is really a factor. Second of all, safety. It's very difficult, and especially if bike lanes are installed, if the street is narrower, to get out of our cars into traffic that is going at such rates of speed. The second safety concern I have is at the top of our street, where Walnut crosses West End. We are obviously a one-way street. We're approaching it. there is no one-way sign. So we frequently, and I would say at least once a day, have cars speeding down the wrong way on West Walnut. Very, very disconcerting, and it's only a matter of time before there's a terrific collision. I have the other concern I have is safety, is the children are leaving the school, and on my way here, cars are speeding down now West Chestnut. I'm sure they're speeding down West Walnut with no regard for the children, and there's no crossing guards. So I'm very, very concerned about the children with these speeding cars, no stop signs, no traffic people to help them across the street. I do have 3 suggestions, maybe 2 suggestions. One, of course, is the easiest, a one-way sign to go at the top of our street, the intersection of West Walnut and College, that instructs people that to go down our block of West Walnut is one way. So we need to let people know that, because we have a lot of people who obviously are not used to this. So we have a lot of, that's one safety concern. I think that's an easy fix. Second of all, to fix the speed, if VASCAR, some sort of VASCAR radar or whatever can be used, that would be my first choice. But I understand it's expensive, it takes a lot of people and training and so forth. But there are other streets that have signage that posts how fast you're going. We don't have one. I think there was one at one time, but a speed sign can easily be placed on the south side, the hospital side of West Walnut, 800 West Walnut, right next to, up the block a little bit, right next to, keep going, right next to the parking lot, right there. It's very visible, it doesn't block any of the residents' houses, and I think it would go a long way to hopefully curb the speed limit, curb the speed of the cars. Bill, do you have anything to add? Bill's my neighbor. He lives at College in West Walnut. No? Okay.
I don't know if this is appropriate.
Okay. Okay, questions?
Any questions?
Ms. Goode, I do. Thank you for providing that information. I just want to clarify where people are making the illegal turns from. So is it from both directions of Northwestern Avenue, or are they turning onto West Walnut and going the wrong way towards the former hospital?
It's mostly the block going south, I guess. It's going towards the park,
Going towards where, ma'am?
going towards Buchanan Park.
Okay, so they're heading north on Northwestern Avenue, and they're making a right.
No.
Going.
Yeah,
So they're turning from here onto Walnut.
correct.
Got it. So maybe up here would be the,
I think
One way?
it's the sign, it's the block before that. It's our block. That's the 900 block, I think. Ours is
Street view
800.
is showing there's
Yeah.
3
This is the
one-way
800
and no
block.
turn signs on each of
That's
the approaches.
exactly where they turn. They turn right, and they're going the wrong way down West Walnut. which is
So
where I live.
sorry, I'm a little confused. From the position that we're currently looking, we're at the traffic sign and we're heading south on Northwestern Avenue, and we would be making a left here. Or is it coming from the other direction?
No, they'd be making right off of West End onto that.
Okay, so they're heading
Well, they're
north.
northbound.
So they're going
Facing
northbound
this
on
direction
Northwestern
towards
Avenue.
Buchanan and making a right.
Right.
Yep, okay,
Got
thank you. It looks, and so, sorry, Cindy, you were saying that there is signage posted, or?
There's
No,
one
Maybe
here.
From the street view, it shows that there are 3 signs. There's a one-way sign, and there's
it is.
2 no turn right signs, I believe.
I got click happy, I'm sorry.
I'm confused, and I live there.
Hey, this is Northwest.
This is where they turn right,
Correct.
We can
And-
definitely.
and
check
that's
this.
really a problem. if there's a sign there, but they don't see it, and so so something has to be, I mean, it's very, very dangerous.
There's no left, there's a no right turn sign and a one-way sign.
I believe there, I mean, yeah, we could double check that the street view is still accurate, but I think there was also when they approached to the intersection, there was a no right turn sign.
And if that somehow has disappeared, we would
Right.
check and make sure that
Actually, it's a white one-way sign that it's showing there, but.
that's true.
I mean, everybody who lives in the city knows that West Walnut and Chestnut are one way, but there's a lot of people who are not of the city, especially now in the summer. And, I mean, today we had another issue, again, a wrong turn. And, you know, it's very dangerous because people are rushing up the street and then this car is turning into them. So we're looking at a collision.
I can sympathize with you on your speed issues. I can
I'm
tell
sure-
you that, I'm going to help your argument right now. You ready?
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
I put a speed trailer out there on Tuesday, right at the intersection of Walnut and College, right next to the hospital, right at that first telephone pole.
Okay, so what is a speed trailer? Is that the one where they show the
Shows you
sign?
the speed.
Um,
That was in place for an hour and 17 minutes before it was struck.
yeah,
It was struck by an unknown motor vehicle and is now currently out of service.
my suggestion is to put it up a little bit further on West Walnut because the cars gun, after they get through the light, they gun their way up the West Walnut. And I mean, I know that I had friends visit today from out of town and they were driving 20 miles an hour to get to their parking space and they were almost run over. Now it's 20 miles and they were going less than the speed limit, but imagine that. But, yeah, if we could have something that the cars could see as they travel up West Walnut, because it's noisy, we can't have a conversation outside on our
Yeah,
porch.
I had it right here. It was
Yeah,
chained to that telephone pole.
yeah, too far down. Can you
It's
do?
actually not, because we want to get that speeders across in the intersection. They catch a green light, boom.
Oh, I know,
So
I know.
that's why it was intentionally put where it's at, to get that mean speed for traveling uphill.
So Sergeant, are you going to put it up again, or? does
Well,
the
once I
fact
get it
that got
repaired,
hit-
sure.
I was about to say, or does the fact that it got hit give you more than the data that you need?
Well, it does. I mean, we can certainly put it up even on the sidewalk at the intersection where she spoke about, but the parking lot used to be behind the old St. Joe's. We can certainly do that. I'm not sure the pole-mounted speed limit signs that we do have. I'm not sure where I know the city installs them. I'm just not sure how that is facilitated.
Okay.
That may be a better option for for a roadway such as this.
Okay. So clearly, the speeds along this road are being investigated as we speak. And part of what you're proposing is that there be signage that not only indicates clearly which way you can and cannot turn on that one-way street, but also the speed limit in that particular area. Is that what I was hearing?
Yes, please.
Mr. Campbell, I'm supportive of the Ms. Good's request for the trailer or for the speed clock, or sorry, however we refer to those. I know there's pole mounted and there's trailer. One or the other, I think, would be good. Halfway up the block, I think, would better capture the speeds that people are achieving, because sometimes they're at a red light at College and they're accelerating from there. I'm sure if they blow through that on a green light, they're also, they're clearly speeding there as well. I just want to note that I believe we might have even addressed this issue a couple of years ago. I do recall that this was actually brought to staff's attention by even some other city staff who live in that area and confirmed that there were a lot of vehicles that were traveling the wrong way down the section of Walnut. Another consideration could be at the intersection of Northwest Ave, actually clarifying with pavement markings where the turning movements are permitted. I know we don't do this at all intersections, but for instance, sometimes if there's a split, the pavement, there will be thermoplastic pavement markings that'll indicate which directions they could go. it's possible that we could further clarify the movements and have an arrow that's pointing straight. I'm referring to the northbound side of that intersection at Northwestern Ave, and then a left arrow as well, so there'd be a split arrow. That would make it a little bit clearer that there's no right turn movement there. Beyond that, the signs and the markings that are there, I'm not sure what else to suggest at this very moment.
So,
Sorry, and let me just add one other piece. I would ask Cindy to also just talk about some of the future improvements that are slated for this, for these two blocks of Walnut Street too, because those are upcoming. They're supposed to be coordinated with the redevelopment of the hospital, which we're closely watching, the timeline on that. They've committed to some of the improvements on the 800 block, but I believe that it would be extended to the 900 block too, and there's some design changes that would, I think, actually reduce some speeding there, so.
Yeah, we're basically, it's all in conjunction with the work that we're doing on Lemon Street as well, but extending the bike lane on Walnut Street out to Race Avenue and then along Race Avenue that will make a connection to Lemon Street as well. So it will be a similar section to what's east of College Avenue. So the parking protected bike lane, and moving the parking and reducing the lane widths. So hopefully to reduce those speeds as well, sort of narrowing the roadway and reducing speeds. So
That makes it even more dangerous for those of us who are living there because, again, you get out of your car and you've got a car speeding by less than 2 feet away. I mean, we've got to slow these cars down somehow.
Well, yeah, and that's what the physical means is the best way that we can get them to actually slow down. We can try with enforcement, but that's, usually those are isolated situations. And the best way that we know to slow vehicles is to actually change the physical roadway to encourage them to go slower. So the narrower lanes are something that, so yeah, I understand what you're saying as far as trying to get out of your car. But yeah, you just maybe have to wait a little bit longer for people to, for the signal to sort of turn at College so that there's not there's a gap sort of in the traffic to be able to exit your car.
Well, my other suggestion will never go through, but we used to live in Philadelphia and South Philadelphia. There's a stop sign at the end of every block, no problem with speeding. Now, do people go through the stop signs? Absolutely, but it was very slow-moving traffic. It would never work here, but just throwing that out.
The other thing that you were asking about was regarding school crossing guards. I think that's more of a matter for the school district.
Right.
With the school that's nearby, is there anything that we're planning
No,
in terms of,
That's actually the police department.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We have school crossing guards. Unfortunately, I'm down 11.
Yeah.
And that intersection is not actually a contracted intersection.
Well, the ones that I went through today were on West Chestnut Street. And,
Yeah, we have no school crossing guards over there.
right,
They're not even corners that we would, even if I had the personnel, they're not contracted / approved positions.
Right.
We are in the process of hiring 9 right now, so I'll only be down 2. We're trying.
even more reason to get the cars to slow down.
I get it, and Ms. McCormick is right. The actual physical changing of the roadway, while it may seem counterintuitive, does slow people down. We've seen that in various parts of the city. Highland Avenue coming into the city, it was nothing to catch 65 and 75 mile an hour vehicles. And we would do details now, since the road's been changed. We hardly see anybody traveling above 35, 38 miles an hour because it looks narrower.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're trying.
I'll say prayers. Thank you.
so is there, based on this discussion, is there a recommendation of what can and should happen here?
I'll try to summarize, I'll take a stab at this. I would make a motion that some sort of speed trailer or pole-mounted speed clock be installed to further study speeds here. And Sorry, maybe this is a motion to table with information coming back to us. Yeah, for both the speed check and also thermoplastic options and designs for the intersection of Northwestern Ave and Walnut. I think I'll leave it at that. So maybe tabling, coming back with that information.
There's a motion on the table. Is there a
I'll
second?
second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion at the council level? At the commission level, rather? Any further from the public? Yes, please.
Good evening, afternoon. Bill Hannigan, 300 block of College Avenue. My property was shown numerous times as you did the rotation, so I feel, being a block away from this problem intersection at West End and Walnut, I agree that cars come the wrong way, and they come as far down as College Avenue. I'm right there. I witnessed it. Judge Bruce Roth was walking the neighborhood one time, and he stopped a car that was trying to go through the intersection, just ignoring the fact that they had gone this one block in the wrong direction. And I came out behind, and Bruce said, "Get his plate, get his plate, get his plate." And I brought my camera up, and that was all it took. The car did a U-turn and was out of there. So Judge Roth has experienced this too. And he's going to take action and put himself physically in front of a vehicle doing this. I like the idea of the thermoplastic signage on the pavement. I think it's big, it's bold. I've also seen directional signs where it's a rectangular sign and the arrows on the sign indicate only forward and only left.
Right.
So I'm sure which option you can use. I don't think there's a sign like that there. I may be mistaken. But there's two ways, I think, to up the awareness of the fact that that's a one-way street. Don't go down there. I saw that speed trailer, and I said, where did it go? Did I imagine that?
Oh, no, you didn't imagine.
Yeah, I couldn't understand where it went. I was looking forward to being in service, and boom. So that really was a result. I want to say that the school situation, I think as a result of coming here, that's a little bit out of the immediate scope of what this request was for, but I think progress has been made in installing piano keys at Elm and West Walnut, and I look forward to that. The pavement's been done, and we just need to see the striping go down, but I feel that's a small victory after 3 years of attending public meetings. And
Very good.
so I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you also for the white posts that have been mounted, let's say, along Manor Street at several intersections. A couple, two residents came and raised awareness of that, and bang, it happened that quickly. So I know you can act, and I do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hannigan. Any further comments? So there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. It'll be tabled for further consideration as described in the motion. The next item is item 44, 2023, considering the request from Adriana Atencio to discuss the intersection of North Broad and East Chestnut Street regarding the no turn on red sign in vehicles using the bike lane for a turning lane.
I did send a picture in yesterday, Sergeant Race. I think you might have that in your email. I do know that state
If you're
law-
asking me to get it from my email, that's not going to happen. I'm sorry. I would love to be able to do that for you. I can't.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
it's okay.
I'm technologically defunct right now.
I mean, even if you go to the intersection, you'll see the lack of visibility.
I was
But,
thinking of the street view.
Yeah.
Where am I going?
Street view,
uh,
North Broad
Broad
and
and
East
Chestnut
Chestnut.
Street.
Got it.
So I know state law says that you can use the furthermost right turning lane to make a right turn, but I don't think state law is always smart when it comes to communities. So especially if you're on Broad Street to make a right onto Chestnut, you have your parking lane, you have your bike lane, and then you have your lane of travel. Just the other day, I was in the lane of travel with my right turn signal on. There was nobody parked in the parking lane and there was nobody in the bike lane. And I almost got T-boned by a traffic plan van as they came hurtling down Broad Street. And I was in the turn lane, or I was in the travel lane with my right turn signal going. And the light had just turned green and they just came down. I've encountered cyclists in the bike lane. He told me, I'm there with my turn signal on, and I said, don't worry, you have the right of way. And he looked at me and he said, this is the most dangerous part of my ride. And that to me is really sad because we have green paint, we have bike lanes, and I think we can do just a couple of minor things to make it the safest part of his ride.
What would you suggest?
I suggest a couple of things. First of all, I suggest a no turn on red sign here, because if you look to your left, which I did send a picture, I can bring it up on my phone and show you all personally if you'd like me to. There are big bushes in front of this church right here. There's very limited visibility unless you're literally in the intersection blocking the crosswalk. And when people are coming down Chestnut, they are not going 25. They are going much, much faster than 25. There is no light before this intersection. I think the next one is up at Plum Street on Chestnut, so they are able to gain a lot of speed, especially since it's a downhill, and especially since they know that they're going to be hitting, which essentially the Walnut Street Expressway. Call it, which is 45 miles per hour, but not until after Rank Avenue. But everybody, as soon as they hit that part of Chestnut, they treat it as if it's 45 miles per hour. I'm not sure what the crash data shows, but I'm pretty sure this is on the high injury network. And for the safety of everyone, I just think this is a prime intersection to be a no turn on red, especially since we have a lot of kids crossing here from McCaskey, from Lincoln, from Wickersham. You know, it's a place that I bike, I drive, I prefer not to get hit, and I prefer other people not to get hit either. So I would suggest a no turn on red. I would also suggest 2 flex posts right at the end of the bike lane and at the end of the parking lane too. So you have people who are not able to use that parking lane as a turn lane and not able to use the bike lane as a turn lane, but still allow cyclists to go through either 2x2 or 1x1.
I would add to that, if you don't mind, that with the Chesapeake Broad active transportation extension, there's hope for more bicycling traffic going up to McCaskey and from McCaskey as well.
Correct. I will say that this intersection is technically out of the scope of that project.
That is correct, but it is continuation of and thereby functionally reinforcing that infrastructure. Are there any comments or other suggestions regarding especially the bike safety part?
Yeah, I don't have any concerns with adding a no turn on red at this location. And we would just need to perform a study and get it approved by PennDOT, but so it'll just take a little time. I'm not sure, but it won't be. I don't see it being an issue.
Any further comments or questions?
What are your feelings on the delineators?
Yeah.
I mean, on that side of the street, it almost doesn't make sense because we typically use them for line of sight issues. I get the intent behind what you're saying. I do.
See, the thing is, I think, yes, we put up a no turn on red, people are still going to turn on red, right? And they're still going to use the bike lane as a turn lane and still use that parking lane as a turn lane too. That's why my thought is, and we've done it in the past, like there is precedent for it. We did it over on Buchanan when we had the bike lane there because everybody was using that as a turning lane. So it's not like we haven't done that before.
Thoughts?
I think we could try it.
They do bounce back.
What?
They do.
For a while. while.
Just out of curiosity, would a bike box achieve a similar effect here rather than like what we did on Mulberry, or is the delineator really a better option?
Well, bike box is really to show where the cyclist is going. And because like on Mulberry, you have the option of going either forward, like straight, or going left
Right.
into the bike lane. And in this
I
case,
see.
you're just going straight.
You're just going straight. Yeah, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
And people are already so confused about green paint already that I think if we do things that are kind of outside of what we're trying to already educate people about, it might add even more confusion.
Mhm.
So does anyone want to turn that into a motion? Oh, yes, well, you still have the opportunity to make a comment, but please join us.
My name is Julie Ruth, and I live on Lehigh Avenue, the 600 block. And I come up from Lehigh to that traffic light and make a left onto Chestnut.
Mhm.
A lot of times coming that direction, you have a hard time making that left turn because traffic keeps coming down. And I agree 100% of a no right turn there on red. But then that's going to give me less of an opportunity to make that left turn during a green light. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I don't know what the answer is, but I do know from my own personal experience that sometimes trying to make that left turn, people do get lined up there because we get stuck because we can't go.
Mhm.
So I don't know if an advanced green on that side of the light would be better or helpful, but I just wanted to tell you because I drive that every day.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, now I'm thinking about Green Light Go grant applications. But yeah, looking at this traffic signal, it's not, the span wires and everything aren't ideal, and that's pretty old. But yeah, that would be a bigger lift as far as adding that left turn phase, but definitely something to consider for a future project.
Do we want to turn it into a recommendation or a motion?
I would motion that we study the location to see if a no turn on red is warranted, and look at adding some, evaluating whether flex posts could be added to this. So I don't know if we table it for further evaluation.
For such further evaluation and be able to get back at the next traffic commission meeting? Very good. There's a motion?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion at the commission level? Any further discussion from the public? Okay, very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. We'll be looking at that intersection for both the red light and the bicycle safety.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adriana. The next item is item 45-2023. Consider the request of David Franz, owner of Wolf and Tails, to review the intersection for modification at New Holland Ave and East Ross Street. Mr. Franz?
will not be attending this evening.
Okay. So as with the Mr. Brandt's request, we would table this until the next meeting where he can be present to describe the concerns that he has. And we'd be able to question him and ask questions about the issue.
And I would like to make a motion that 45-2023 is tabled until the next traffic commission meeting in the hopes that Mr. Fons can attend.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item is item 46-2023. Consider the request of Julie Ruth to review the intersection of North Franklin and Lehigh Avenue for safety concerns. Ms. Ruth?
Hi, Julie Ruth, 640 Lehigh Avenue. I'm here on behalf of the whole neighborhood. I've done some research starting last year on this intersection, and I worked with Rhonda Morales. There was a study done, And when she got back to me, she had explained that, I guess, North Franklin is a state road, so it falls under PennDOT regulations, and there would be no way that they would put a four-way stop there. I recently did a petition through the neighborhood. I think I have 75 to 80 signatures of people requesting the same thing as I. Also on Lancaster Fix-It app, there were 2 posts on there concerning that intersection. And also on the Nextdoor app, I had posted something because I had seen a lot of interest, and to let these people know that I'm doing my best to do something. There are quite a few comments on the Nextdoor app, and Officer Grayson has a copy of that. One of the things I'd like to read was about, they've lived in the area for 35 years, and people have been complaining about this intersection for 60 years. Nothing has been done. Cars race up and down North Franklin Street. As everyone has said tonight, with the speeding problems, people running stop signs, running red lights, has gotten extremely bad in the past few years, at least from what I've observed driving in the community. If a four-way stop is not possible at this intersection, I hope that we can come up with some kind of flashing lights, pedestrian crossing. I know I saw something on the news a couple weeks ago where some area put up like a lime, yellow, green sign with flashing lights that showed pedestrian walking. I also know we have a shortage of crossing guards. Being that this is a school zone, we have a lot more people certain times of the day in that area. We have school buses, we have mothers dropping off children, we have children crossing the streets, high school students crossing the streets, and honestly, sometimes the little children are better at it than the big children. My worst concern after living in my home for 15 years is someone getting hit, whether it's a child or a human being of any sort. Like I said, I don't really know what the answer is or what can happen, but I'm pleading and begging to all of you before it does happen. Can we please do something? Speed bumps, signs, a crossing guard there all the time during school letting in and starting in the mornings. I watch it every day. I would suggest that you go sit at that intersection during school arrival or dismissal and see the chaos that is going on there. I believe that's why PennDOT reneged on the four-way stop, because technically I would say it's worse at those times, but it's bad all of the time with speeding traffic down Franklin Street. It's hard to cross as an adult pedestrian, and these poor children shouldn't have to put their lives on the line to get to school every day. God blessed the crossing guards that I have seen there, because they're putting their life on the line every day, and they're not getting paid enough to do that. So whatever I need to do to take this further, to get some action, I'm willing to do it, because I lost my son. I know that heartache and I know that pain, and I don't want anyone else to go through it. I thank you very much for your time.
Very good. Thank you very much, Ms. Ruth. You
Thank
can
you.
stay if you'd like to. Cindy, I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. I know we've often run into situations that seem intractable. What are either the standards or the steps that one would take to be able to look at situations where we've got the state road as well as?
Yeah, I guess just wanted to clarify, it's not, Franklin's not a state route, it is a local street. But we still are required, the implementation of signs and traffic signals and all that kind of stuff has to follow the PennDOT and federal standards related to that. So, I didn't see the traffic study, but I guess I'll have to go back and look at if it was studied previously.
I know there's been numerous accidents at that intersection as well.
Right.
It's a problem area, and I'm amazed as a private citizen, being that's a school zone, it just blows my mind that nothing more can be done. And as far as the crossing guards go,
Yes.
I came home, I don't know, the first or second day of school this year, and I got caught in the school traffic. I was coming down Franklin towards McDonald's. That poor person out there, crossing guard, police officer, I don't know who they were. They had this huge stop sign they're trying to hold in their hand and direct traffic when they've got traffic coming from every direction. Fortunately, Lehigh usually stop, but this direction on North Franklin, it's utter chaos. It's just, so not only for the kids to cross, but the crossing guards to be out there risking their lives to get these kids to school safely. Like I said, just something. I don't know what the answer is, but I know talking with the neighbors, other people trying to do what I'm doing today, we're willing to work with the school. I've called the school, I've called the police, I've called everybody I can possibly find in the city that will listen, because like I said, I just don't want to see anybody get killed. It's not worth it. So,
Yeah, as part of our Vision Zero work, trying to improve traffic safety throughout the city, Franklin Street is on our Vision Zero network, sort of we've identified as a high injury network. Not this particular portion, but this portion falls within, what we're looking at as trying to improve traffic operations around schools.
Right.
So this definitely falls within that area. I think we can look at the warrants for an always stop again, trying to look more at, there are certain volume warrants and crash warrants, but there's also, some judgment that can be exercised as far as, conflicts with pedestrians and vehicles and like those kind of things as well. We'll have to see how that impacts traffic operations as well, because we don't want to create even more aggressive drivers, but I think we can probably look at this a little bit more, maybe looking at something for more of a short-term type improvement, but I think we'll be looking at this entire school campus area and how to improve traffic operations over the next couple of years as well.
great, thank you.
Cindy, are there larger planning efforts going on with the school district around safe routes to school right now? I'm just wondering if we can contextualize what our work might be around this issue in general.
So we're pursuing grants as well. So we have a Safe Routes to School grant that includes looking at schools, a couple, I think 4 or 5 school campuses and how we can improve traffic around those schools as well. But we're also looking at a Safe Routes to School grant, which is working more with the school district on trying to maybe more evaluating where the safe routes are, where kids should, which, streets kids should be using, how, and trying to educate kids and families about the safest way to get to school as well. But I think both grants will probably be looking at these type, what kind of improvements can we be making on the streets around the schools as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything further on this item?
I just want to thank Ms. Ruth for speaking to us about this. I think I've driven through this intersection enough to know that it really is a dangerous intersection and should be prioritized because of the proximity to the school. Would it be possible to actually, we have our next meeting 2 months from now, and sometimes 2 months feels like a long time. Is it possible to have internal follow-up a month from now, just so we can all be prepared going into the next meeting well ahead of time on what we might be able to coordinate on? I don't know if we can accomplish that in the next 30 days, but just thought I'd try to urge us to, disseminate any information we might have in advance of the next meeting. Otherwise, I guess I'll make a motion to table and revisit this discussion after Ms. McCormick has had some opportunity to study it.
This is a motion to table with the advice to try to do some study before so that we can report back out within a month if necessary.
I will second that motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm sorry, I should have asked was there further comments from the public on this item? Sorry, Adriana.
Just really quickly, this intersection has been an issue since I graduated high school in 2005 from McCaskey. And I personally would be very grateful to see a four-way stop here as well. There's definitely, the pedestrian traffic, but you also see a number of cyclists going through this intersection all the time. And because of how wide North Franklin is, and because there's no parking on either of these sides, people have a tendency to just fly down here. And then they fly through the intersection and they get to the light at Walnut, but they go pretty fast. So I think it would be prudent to put one in.
Thank you very much. Sure, please.
Another situation at that corner is the cars that are parked too close to the corner. So these kids have to step out into basically the street before they can even cross. So I don't know if painting yellow curbs to back the traffic off. I know traffic or parking is a problem in the city. But being that we live near McCaskey, we have that whole one corner that people could go over there. They're just lazy and don't want to. So if there'd be any way to mark those corners to keep traffic back, so when you step out into the crosswalks, there is some kind of openness and people can see you standing there.
Very good. I think some of these are the things that can be considered for discussion within the month or so. Thank you very, very much. So the motion has been moved, seconded, and voted in favor of. And as such, it has passed. This motion has passed. You're very welcome. The next item is item 47-23, 2023, considering the request of Jeff DiBattista to discuss issues with parking on Poplar Street. Mr. DiBattista is not present. So may I hear a motion to table this to the next meeting?
I'd like to make a motion to table 47-2023 regarding parking issues at 600 Poplar until next meeting, in hopes that Mr. DiBattista will be here and be able to answer questions regarding his agenda item.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you. The last item on the action agenda is item 48-2023. Consider the request of Brian Cooley with DC Gone Associates, Inc., to review final land development for plans for 422 Ruby. Mr. Cooley?
Yes, hi, good evening. Brian Cooley with DC Gone Associates.
Very good.
Is the plan available? If not, I do have a board with an easel I can put on.
I think I have it. Give me a sec. Final plan?
Oh, yeah, final plan, that'd be great, thank you. If you can go to sheet 3, I believe.
Up one?
It's form.
This one here, sir?
Yes, that'd be great, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I know that Cindy and Doug are familiar with the project, but I'll just give a brief description. So this is 422 Ruby Street, just the Orient Traffic Commission. Prangley Avenue's on the north side of the screen. Ruby Street's on the right-hand side. Currently, it's an existing building. The owner is using what I'll call the left side or the west side of the building right now as an automotive use. The remaining portion of the building is actually, falling down and it's going to be demolished. So we did go to the Historical Commission to gain approval for that. So the owner of the property is looking at subdividing the building into 4 separate tenant spaces. He would use the middle tenant space as an auto repair. There's an additional auto repair that he would most likely use as well. On the west side, which is again the one currently being used, there's a restaurant distillery being proposed. And then on the far east side is a coffee roaster, coffee shop. So again, this will be divided into 4 tenant spaces. The reason we're here tonight is currently there's no parking on site. So we are proposing 7 parking spaces located just off of Prangley Avenue here. We are providing the 1 handicap space, which is required by code. That is a van accessible handicap space. And in addition, we are providing 6 additional spaces. So the request tonight is to allow the driveway to access Prangley Avenue to accommodate those 7 parking spaces. As I mentioned, currently, there's no parking on site, so providing 7 spaces here will help to alleviate some of the parking within the community itself. Does the Traffic Commission have any questions for myself? Along with me tonight is Kyle Soliak, who's the architect of the project. Any questions for us?
Thank you, Mr. Cooley. I do have one quick question, which Cindy and Douglas may already know the answer to. Is there parking required? And if so, how much parking is required for this zoning?
Yes, so
site?
parking is required. So this was grandfathered as far as the number of parking spaces. I believe that it was grandfathered under 67 parking spaces, I believe. But this use actually requires less than that. So we do meet the parking requirements per the zoning ordinance. That's even without the 7 parking spaces. So because it was already grandfathered under a higher number, we do not have to provide any parking at all from a zoning perspective. However, we do want to provide 7 parking spaces. So as a result of that, right now the building takes the entire lot. So the owner is sacrificing square footage of building to accommodate those 7 parking spaces.
Okay, thank you. So that means it's a net increase in parking for this site.
That's right. Our staff has reviewed this pretty thoroughly. I welcome Cindy's comments on this as well. But this is a conditionally approved plan at the Planning Commission. We've been working with the engineering team very closely, the designer. So I have no comments on this. I would recommend that the board approve it, but welcome any additional questions or comments at this time.
Are there any restricting elements of the width of the cartway on Prangley Avenue to be concerned about at all?
No, actually, the width, the right-of-way width is not being impacted by this project at all. We've worked with the applicant to provide curbing along here and also a public sidewalk along Prangley, which doesn't currently exist. And that's all within their property, so it's, through an easement that we're providing pedestrian access. So it's not really impacting Prangley at all. And
Are there any other questions of Mr. Cooley while he's here or of Mr. Gone as well?
I would just add that if there, not only are there no impacts, but there's quite a bit of net benefit, I would say, to Prangley and the safety for pedestrians.
Very good to hear. Anything further, Sergeant?
Not for me.
Would we like to turn this into, is there a need for this to be turned into a motion in the process?
yeah, I would make a motion to approve the proposed driveway along Prangley as proposed.
There's been a motion,
Second.
a motion and a second. Any further comment from the commission? Any further comments from the public? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? None, no opposition? Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you for your time tonight, appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your patience. I know that you come in with as everybody does, comes in with a single goal. You just want to make your presentation and go, but we appreciate your patience.
Oh, that's, as long as there's no one here that's pitchforks and complaining, and that's not a problem. I live on Charlotte in the city anyway, so
Excellent.
it was good to hear about all the speed stuff.
Thank you. So that concludes our action agenda. Then there are 3 items on the consent agenda. One, which is 49-2023, following signs tentatively approved or installed related to handicap parking and no parking signs. Item 50-2023, following signs have been removed for handicap parking and no parking signs. And then item 51-2023, following conditional temporary parking signs have been issued by LPA. Is there any discussion about these items on the consent agenda? If not, may I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve 49, 50, and 51 on the consent agenda.
There's been
I
a
would
motion.
second that motion.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further comment? Any questions or comments from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No opposition? This motion carries. So we are now at additional business. Is there any additional business to be raised at this meeting? Nope, very good. So I will be happy to receive a motion to close
I
the
would
meeting.
love to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you very, very much for joining us for this Traffic Commission meeting today.